there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from the AITAH subreddit and is titled, Husband Says You Aren't My Mother, so I don't have to celebrate you on Mother's Day. Boy, no husband has ever found his way to an early grave by saying that before, have they? I think I'm pretty sure it's in the book of like husbandry for dummies that you get whenever you become a new husband. They tell you not to do that. Not to screw it up. Also, don't say you're overreacting. It's not a big deal. There's a lot of things that are no-nos. This is one of them. It's not smart. Background, I have been married to my husband for 2.5 years. I have 3 children and 3 stepchildren. Not only is it Mother's Day, but also my mother's birthday. His mother's birthday was last week. I thought of the present, bought it, planned a dinner for her, ordered it, and bought the cake. She wanted to celebrate with her 98-year-old mother today. I did the same thing for my mother today. He vacuumed before my parents came over, grilled the steaks and salmon, and helped clean up after dinner. That is it. I showed up for all of my stepkids' performances, games, and school events. I plan their birthday parties and buy all of their presents, same with Christmas. I remind him of all these events. He rarely even knows what I get them. I do the same on any important holidays for him. Birthday, anniversary, Valentine's, Father's Day, and Christmas. Hardly anything happened for me today. 2 of my kids said Happy Mother's Day. My 11-year-old stepdaughter also said it and gave me a very cute jar of all the things she loves about me. My 16-year-old son told me the present he bought won't come until tomorrow. My 13-year-old daughter told me that she asked my husband by text to help her with several things, and he never responded. When she had asked me what I wanted, I told her updated pictures for my office, knowing it wouldn't be expensive to just print some of our favorite photos, and it would mean a lot to me. I was disappointed. I was disappointed that all I asked of my 18-year-old son was to take a new picture with me, and he couldn't be bothered. I was disappointed that my husband told me that you are not my mother, and I didn't do anything for my kid's mother, so why would I do something for you? The kid's mother who he's divorced from now, right? Starting to see why that happened. I am hurt and I feel bad for feeling hurt. I feel selfish. He did help with dinner, but all I would have liked would have been a happy Mother's Day from him and maybe a card. Bonus points if he could understand that helping the 13-year-old print some pictures would mean a lot to her and me. That would have made me feel valued and special. I don't need a spa day, breakfast in bed, being celebrated every moment like my brother does for his wife, and I'm so happy for her that he does that. That isn't my husband's personality. I would never expect that. But is it too assholey to just want a little understanding and appreciation for all the things I do for all of our kids, even if it is a commercial holiday? He says that I'm mean and an asshole for being upset. I didn't yell and scream, just cried and didn't want him to cuddle me to ease his own anxiety. Wow. All right. OP's comments here. 1, in the past, I told him it was important to me and he did help facilitate presents with the kids and he told me Happy Mother's Day and made me feel special. He isn't a very thoughtful guy in his own, but if I say something, he will step up for a time. I didn't say anything this year because I thought he would have done something based upon years past and also because we have been at a very good place recently. I guess it hurts more because of that. 2, overall, we have a good relationship. He loves to cook, so he does most of the cooking because while he works full time, most days he leaves the house around 10 a.m. and is back by 2 p.m. I want that full-time job. 10 to 2? All right. He has a decent paying job. I also work full time and make about twice what he makes. Not that it matters, except that we both provide financially. He pays for $1,000 of our monthly bills and then also buys groceries about half the time. He also has a large child support obligation. I pay for everything else. I handle paying all bills, planning and paying for family vacations and couple vacations, handle both of our investment properties, and all of the issues that come up with tenant or repairs, etc. Anything that comes up, I handle all aspects of it in our lives. I always loop him in and try to make decisions as a team. He does help clean up the house and we do about equal chores. He doesn't normally spearhead anything, but if I ask for help, he normally will do so. He does not do anything thoughtful that he doesn't like to do. He will plan a dinner because he loves to cook, but doesn't bring home flowers or gifts or plan activities or date nights. For any holiday, he will only buy a present if I specifically send him a link for exactly what I want. For example, if he goes downstairs to get himself a drink or a snack, he doesn't ask if I want anything. I always ask him. I don't think it's something that crosses his mind. It's really hard for me to understand this. We are both in therapy and work hard to overcome triggers from past marriages and to not bring those issues into our current marriage. Blending 6 kids, mostly teenagers, is not quick or easy, and there have been a far number of challenges mainly related to the expectations and negative consequences. Both of our ex-spouses cheated on us, and both are still pretty much horrible human beings. He hates confrontation, so avoids it with his kids and everyone else at all costs until he snaps. It is something we have been working on, and efforts have been made to change on both parts. He drinks too much, and a lot of our plans revolve around alcohol. He quits and starts again, and sometimes makes poor choices when he drinks too much. For Easter, we had plans with the family, and he was throwing up all day and couldn't participate, and I was left to handle everything. And that's the end of the frickin' story, folks. The title was Husband Says You Aren't My Mother, so I don't have to celebrate you on Mother's Day. And really, the question here is, am I the astronaut for being hurt because he didn't do anything or because he said that? I'm disappointed for you in him, OP, because you have brought this up before. You have explained that this is important to you previously. And if there is one thing that is more important than any other thing in a marriage, I think it is learn. If something happens and it goes sideways, fix it so it doesn't happen again. Everybody screws up. Everybody gets something wrong. But when you find out that it matters to your partner and discover that there is a better way that leads to the avoidance of these kind of problems, if for no other reason, dude, for less pain in your life and avoiding the problems that are happening here, why the hell wouldn't you do the thing that you know you're supposed to do that will avoid problems? Why wouldn't you? He's just not thinking of it. I don't understand how that's a thing. Like, why wouldn't you prefer for your wife to be happy? Why wouldn't you prefer to show her that you care? Why wouldn't you prefer to work with the kids to do these things? Why wouldn't you prefer that? And her explanation to this point is like, it's just not who he is. He just doesn't automatically think that way. It doesn't have to be automatic at this point because he's already been burned by it in the past. He should know based on experience, not because of default wiring. At this point, he knows better. He just chose not to do better. The whole "you're not my mom" statement is bullshit, and he gets the brozo for that. What a cop-out. And what a friggin' lazy-ass excuse. Also, if I may, sir, OP's hubby here, when you find yourself in a situation where you've screwed up, digging a deeper hole is rarely a solution. Lashing out and saying hurtful things, rarely a solution. It's not going to help your situation here. It's not going to help it. I mean, there's some of this that I understand. Like he doesn't facilitate doing specific things unless he gets specific instructions to do those kind of things. I understand part of this. And I can tell you when Candy Thunder is planning something and needs me to jump in, like I need specific instructions for those kind of things. There are things that I need specific instructions for, and we appreciate those specific instructions. That doesn't mean you should have to be told to get your wife Mother's Day gifts. You don't have to be directed on everything. Being a husband requires being a little bit of a self-starter. You have to not require management for every single thing that you do. You got to be able to think using your own brain cells. I know, it's asking a lot. I get it. But to survive, you have to be able to think for yourself and learn. More importantly than anything else, learn from your mistakes and do not repeat them. He doesn't seem to give a shit about repeating them. Candy Thunder, you want to jump in over here?
I think that he has a much bigger problem with alcohol than she's letting on, because the things that she's explaining here, speaking from experience, he's not able to retain information and like change what he's doing because I in my experience, alcohol like doesn't allow you to learn those types of things because your brain is always concentrating on the next drink, on the alcohol. And so for what she's explaining here, like to me says that he has a much bigger problem than maybe she realizes or she's letting on. Because if he was too drunk or too hungover to participate in Easter, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's more than just he drinks too much. That's an actual problem.
Okay, so maybe the concern is a bit misplaced because it's not just about him as a person, it's about his addiction.
Right. I think that you cannot be a great spouse. You can't be a great partner to somebody if your first thought is about how much like alcohol or when you can get that next drink.
If it's a true addiction, then
Right.
he doesn't control it. It controls him too. So it's like he's unable.
Yeah.
He's unable to do these things rather than
Right.
it being a choice. He is unable because it's something else is overriding everything.
And I think that he probably wants to stop drinking. I have not been in this exact situation, but I've been in something similar, and it can never be a healthy marriage when one person drinks too much and the other person does not. It can never work in my experience. And so I think he would have to give that up completely, because obviously he can't control it. And if you can't control it, you can't have it. And I think that he would have to give that up in order for this marriage to work. That's just my
2 cents. The makeup of one person drinking too much and one not doesn't work. I can't imagine it working any better with both of them drinking too much.
No, I'm
either.
sure that would just be more volatile.
It's just toxic
But
at that point. Probably
when you're
more
trying
dangerous.
to carry the whole load of somebody who, because you're not just carrying their load, like, and cleaning the house and doing all the stuff that you feel like they should be contributing. It's like, it's an emotional load that is a lot heavier than, unless you're in that situation or you've been in that situation, it's really hard to explain. It's just, it's very heavy knowing what you want out of a person and them not being able to give it because there's this one thing that they want more. And so I think, and that's not the reason that we don't drink. That it's not that.
We just don't have time.
It's just, well, honestly, yeah. But we did, like, in the beginning and stuff, but this isn't about us not drinking. That's just my 2 cents on alcohol in relationships. If you can't control it and it's controlling you, then you can never have it again. And that's just how I feel based on that subject.
So do you feel like OP is semi-blind to it, or do you feel like she's trying to make excuses and say that it's something else that she should expect from him, or is she just in denial?
I think that, and again, in my experience, I was in denial for a long time on how bad it really was, because if you admit that it's too bad, you realize you can't fix it. Because you can't fix that for somebody else. Somebody else has to choose to fix that for themselves. So I think if you deny that it's a problem and that he just drinks too much, then you don't have to face the actual problem. And
Well,
I'm
sure
that was me for quite a few years.
I'm sure, being married to someone who is dealing with that and is not seeking solutions on their own is an incredibly tough position to be in, because you feel like it's on you at that point, right? To get them at least on the right path.
100%. Yes, you feel like you need to fix it, but you can't fix that. And I know that now. You can't fix that in somebody, and they will. And the person that I'm talking about did fix it, and they did reach out and they did apologize and try to make right all the wrongs that they had done. But you cannot fix that for somebody else. They have to choose to fix it.
Yeah. So maybe she's just trying to focus on the things that she thinks she can fix. And
For
maybe
sure,
she knows how big of a problem it is. But it was, for as long as this story was, there's like 2 lines that discuss his drinking, right? So it even just mathematically, it seems percentage wise here of focus that it's a side note.
Right.
Side note, he drinks too much. That might be the headline.
If you have to mention it at all in any way, shape, or form, it's too much. And that's again, this is just my feelings on it, having been in a similar position. If you make any note of somebody drinking too much, it's too much. And that's just how I feel. And I would never go back into a situation like that, because it's too much for somebody to handle. If you drink too much, you're putting too much on your partner.
Yeah, that's insight that I don't have. So I think it's very important to get that kind of perspective. And Angel, when it's affecting the ability for y'all to follow through with your plans, it's too much. For it affecting anything, I think it's obviously an issue there. I understand, not having control of that and trying to focus on the things that you think you can control. And that's tough. There's obviously a pain creates change threshold there, where at some point it's going to be enough pain for her to say, okay, screw it, I can't do this. It's obviously this causing the issue. So that's coming. It's coming, and there's going to be a ton of regret on his side whenever he finally does get there. But I think OP, you have to realize here exactly what Candy Thunder was talking about. You have to realize that a lot of this is beyond your ability to repair, and right now his. Until he takes some steps to break the chains from that, nothing else is going to get fixed. All right, hey, this is Dusty Thunder again with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from the AITA subreddit and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Not Wanting Mother-in-Law to Babysit Anymore? I, 38 female, and my husband, 39, have a 20-month-old, our only. We live near my husband's parents, and from the day our son was born, I was heavily pressured into letting my mother-in-law, 73, babysit. Heavily pressured, red flag on that. Some backstory on the mother-in-law. She's very frail, old, and forgetful. She has bad arthritis and can't open or close latches with her hands, including things like high chairs, strollers, baby gates, etc. She's also very stubborn and doesn't really listen to me. She will say okay, but then not actually do what I've asked. Not frightening at all with your 20-month-old baby. Early on, when our child was very young, she bumped his head on the table while holding him and made him cry. She also would put random things in his crib as an infant, which we all know is a big no-no. We did it when we were parents. Needless to say, I held her off for about a year, and it was not easy. Over the 8 months, I gave in and agreed to let her babysit 1 day a week. He's great at daycare for the other 4 days, and she's done many other questionable things. Pulls his arm too hard, doesn't change his diaper enough, doesn't offer him enough food, doesn't put sunscreen on him, doesn't use his mittens in the winter. He came home screaming once after she took him for a walk in 30-degree weather without his mittens, and his hands were bright red. These are all things I remind her of regularly when she's there. IWFH, I work from home, and she says okay, but then she doesn't do them. Anyway, all of this was tolerable until recently when she opened our baby gate at the very top of very steep and narrow stairs that lead to a hard tiled basement and didn't close it properly on purpose because it's too hard for her to open and reopen with her arthritis. I told her this was unacceptable and very dangerous for our son, and she said okay, but this just feels like another instance of saying one thing but actually not listening. Now I'm filled with anxiety whenever she comes over and want to have her stop babysitting altogether. I can't get work done when she's in the house because I'm constantly checking whether or not the gate is closed and if he ate enough, etc., etc. My husband says he can't stop asking her to babysit because it will break her heart. And I'm like, but what about breaking our kid if she leaves the gate open again? What do I say to my husband to get him to understand that her son's safety is more important than his mom's failings? Well, how about at what point does that change, hubby? Does our child have to end up in the hospital for you to finally be like, okay, yeah, what has to happen for it to be worth hurting her feelings to prevent your child's body from being harmed? What has to happen? How bad does it have to get? Because that's the gamble he's taking. That's the risk. He is gambling with the safety of his child. Maybe just say that. Which is more important? The physical safety of your child who can't fend for themselves, or the ego of your mother? Which one is more important? Right now, he's choosing his mother's ego. Screw your ego. I'm not risking the health and safety of my child so you can feel good about yourself. If filling up your cup puts other people in danger, sorry about your cup. It's got a hole in it. No. And I get it. He doesn't want to break his mother's heart, but he has to understand the risk in the gamble that he's taking right now. You are not allowed to gamble with your child's safety. You're not, especially when it's for somebody's feelings. No. Mags, no, you don't get to feel good when causing stress. Yeah. And for you, OP, yeah, I get it. You can't be there because you're constantly feeling like you have to overwatch, babysit everything. And if you have interior cams, you'll probably just have one monitor up switching between them trying to see what she's screwing up next. You can never fully focus. If you can't fully focus, she's not babysitting. There's no benefit to it. It is just harm across the board. The only one receiving any kind of benefit from it is her. That's it. No. This is a veto situation. This is a 2 yes, 1 no structure. Your no is all you should have to say. Back it up with whatever you want to back it up with, but 2 yes, 1 no. Employ your no. Do it. She's not saying no contact, no. Yeah, she's not saying like your mother is now excommunicado. That is not what she's saying. She's saying she can't watch our kid because she puts her kid in danger. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. All right, here we go. Cake reward story. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one is a cake story. Why? Because we love cake. Am I the astronaut for asking my friends what flavor their wedding cake is? Is that offensive now? In 2024, can you not ask people what flavor their wedding cake is? Is that where the line is? I, 22 female, am in the wedding party of my friends. We will call M, 25 female, and Ro, 25 male, who will be getting married in about 2 months. I've been really excited about the wedding since it'll be an opportunity for all my friends from college to get together for the first time in 2 years. Not to mention M and Ro are my best friends, or at least I thought they were. We have a Discord for all the wedding stuff, and they have a channel about food. They have been really good about being open about the food that they intend to have at the reception, including vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free options for everyone, and answering questions. So I didn't think there would be any contention if I asked a question. Anyway, about 4 days ago, I posted a message into the Discord asking, hey, what flavor is the cake going to be? I want to mentally prepare myself, LOL. I think looking back, my choice of extra words is what caused all this, but I meant it in the sense that I have a long documented dislike of chocolate flavored foods like cake or ice cream, so I added it in the event the cake was chocolate. I received a private message back that the cake would be chocolate and that if I had a problem with it, then I could shove it because it was their wedding, not mine. And I felt really taken aback by this response. Never did I mention that I would have been upset and certainly would have put up a stink about it. It's exactly like M had said, it's their wedding. I explained it as much and tried to apologize for any offending I did, but she got even more defensive and started basically blasting me for implying that she was offended, and I was just left overall very confused. I am offended by you presuming that I am offended. I gave it 2 days before I tried to apologize again and smooth it over, figuring she may have just been having a bad day, but I got shut down again, telling me she didn't need my apology because nothing was wrong, and I needed time to stop trying to make it seem like shit was wrong between us and to just drop it. I texted Ro to see if I could gauge what was going on, since he and I have always had an open dialogue about things like this, but he basically told me he couldn't talk to me right now, and I have to imagine it's because M told him not to. It's been 2 days since then. I'm basically just really confused. This whole thing has made me want to drop out of the wedding party and honestly not go at all. I wish Ro would talk to me and M would be honest. I can't help but think maybe I just don't get how stressful planning a wedding is, and like maybe they've gotten pushback from other people on things and somehow it's being taken out on me. Or is it really a big no-no to ask stuff like this? I don't know. This is the first wedding I'll ever have gone to, so am I the astronaut? Generally, no. Generally, I'm going to say NTA here because I think it was an honest mistake. However, add some context onto this. You have a long track record of being vocally opposed to anything chocolate or disliking anything chocolate. You asking what flavor the cake was could have meant only one thing. They know that because they're your besties. So you were basically asking, is it chocolate and am I not going to like it? Yeah, it was chocolate. So they knew it was going to be something that you didn't like. Of course, that's what they want. It's their wedding. Yes, you agree with all of that. I think asking the question whenever it was loaded because they knew what it meant, you knew what it meant, even though it was innocent, that's probably why it turned into a bigger deal than it should have been here, because it was loaded with history, right? They knew that you weren't going to like it. You knew you weren't going to like it if it was chocolate, and that was the question, basically. And yeah, there may be other stuff going on. I do think that you dropping out of the wedding right now is probably just going to escalate things. It's not going to be a solution at all. I do think at this point, if you just ride this out, if you want to maintain a relationship with them, let's put it that way, define your goal first. Do you want to still be friends with these people? If so, probably time to put your head down, keep your mouth shut, and survive the wedding. If you're willing to put it on the line, sure, drop out, but it's going to escalate things and it's just going to make things worse. So if they are stressed because wedding planning is stressful, and sure, just ride it out. And in this case, it's a like take your licks and just move on kind of thing. Angel, I mean, like, what was the point of the question? It's not like you're going to bring your own cake. Exactly. And they know that you don't like chocolate. You knew there was like a 50-50 shot it was going to be chocolate, and it's chocolate. So the question was basically, is this something I'm going to be repulsed by? That's how they took it because they know the history of it, right? It was an unnecessary question that they probably took much more seriously because it's a stressful time for them right now. So just let it die. Let it fizzle out. Let them forget about it. Move on from it. Every time you try to apologize again or try to ask somebody a question about it, you're reviving it to top of mind. Let's not do that. Let's not take a potential misstep that became a problem and keep bringing it up so that it's a problem longer. And let's also not escalate by doing something else like dropping out of the wedding that's going to be an even bigger problem. So let's just stop causing problems. Just let this one little innocent mistake, just let it fizzle away and everything will be fine. Generally an NTA, because I do think it was an innocent mistake, but I think you have to understand the context to fully get the possibilities here. But no matter what, quit bringing it up. If she says it's fine, let her prove it by just giving it time. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again. We have another Reddit story for you from AITA again, and this one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Charging My Roommates a Clean Air Fee to Make Things More Fair? Clean air fee, okay. Hello Reddit, I don't usually use this website, but my roommates told me to post it on here in hopes that some outside perspectives will help us settle the situation. Hence the brand new account. The three of us live in a 3-3 and split cost equally 3 ways. For the most part, I have a slightly bigger bedroom, so I pay a bit more than my other 2 roommates in rent. However, at the moment, I feel like I'm putting more work into maintaining the environment that we should all get to enjoy, and that I should be compensated fairly for that. I have over 100 different houseplants throughout the apartment, including shared spaces like the living room, that I spend hours every week and thousands of dollars caring for, purchasing, and maintaining. My roommates have commented on how pretty some of the plants are, so I know they appreciate having them around as well. Obviously, the presence of these plants contributes to the cleanliness of the air that we breathe in our home. With so many plants in our house, our home air quality is obviously superior to those without houseplants, and with COVID and other air quality considerations, it's basically like having an in-house HEPA air purifier, but the plants are natural, so they're even better. Because I put so much money and so many hours of work into these plants, I feel that my roommates should contribute to that financial burden by paying what we would call a clean air fee. Something reasonable like $25 a month from each roommate would really help offset the cost of things like fertilizer, new pots, soil, etc., and the time I put into taking care of the plants. I think this is an incredibly fair agreement for my roommates, as they get the benefit of living in a house with organically clean air and not doing any of the work. They think I'm being unreasonable and selfish. I told them that I would be willing to compromise and not charge them a fee if they would hold their breath between the front door and going to their bedrooms, which isn't even far. It's not like we live in a huge apartment. Oh, you're serious about this. So they aren't breathing the plant-cleaned air that they aren't paying for. They think that's stupid, but have yet to propose another reasonable compromise. So I think it's pretty clear who's being unreasonable in this situation. So basically, that's where we're at. I'm the one who everyone gives rent money to, and then I write the check to the landlord. So if we don't figure this out by the next time rent is due, it's going to be a problem. How can I get my roommates to see or understand my side of this? If you're looking for unbiased opinions here, asking the question, how do I get my roommates to see my side of this, probably puts a bit of a slant on it, doesn't it? Also, you don't get to fill the common spaces with things that you care about and then try to charge other people for them. If I were your roommate right now, I would be like, actually, we're going to charge you more for rent because your plants are taking up the majority of the common areas. You have chosen to fill the common areas, which should be equally accessible to all. You have filled 100% of these areas with surfaces that things can be put on with your shit. So you'll be paying more. That was a you choice. We didn't have any say in that happening in the first place. Also, tell you what, you keep your bullshit. Roommate and I are going to get a HEPA air filter. And that will be our thing, okay? And then you can have your thing. And then actually the HEPA air filter says that it is good for 1,600 square feet, which includes your bedroom. So we're actually going to start charging you as well. You don't get to just impose your wishes upon other people. Also, you already had the plant. It's not like you were pitching something new. You can't do something and then try to charge people for it. If you were pitching this as an idea for an organically clean air initiative and said, hey, let's do this, what do you guys think? That's different. They didn't get any input on this. You live together. You're just imposing your rule on them. Yeah, you're the asshole. How big of an asshole are you? Yeah, there is some Delulu going on there. I'll give you that. We'll go Delulu on this lady. I'm going to go out on a limb, pun intended, and say This is probably her first time living with other people. She's like, well, they breathe the air and they even say that these things look pretty, which I'm also going to go out on a limb and say that some of those might be backhanded compliments. Wonder if those over 100 plants fit into a room. Yeah, that's a thing too. Your roommates could jump up here and be like, hey, sorry, that's not going to work. Plus, you aren't allowed to fill more than 33.33 continuum % of these spaces with your plants. So you're going to have to figure out something to do with the rest, because then you would be taking up more space. And unless you're interested in paying more for taking up that additional space in common areas, find another place for them. And if they did that to you, they would be the assholes to you, right? Well, you're doing the same effing thing to them. For me, I don't think you're evil. I think you're probably just inexperienced, maybe a bit delusional. This will be a learning moment for everybody. I'm glad that your roommates told you to post here, because you have this view where they're being completely unreasonable, and even ended this with, how can I get them to see my point of view? You can't, because it's delusional. Okay. I understand the sentiment behind it, but there are several reasons why this will not work. And actually, if anybody should be paying more, it should be you. So you might want to keep your mouth shut about that whole thing, eh? Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another Reddit story for you. This one is from the AITAH subreddit and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Throwing Away My Husband's Father's Day Gifts After What He Did on Mother's Day? My husband and I have 2 kids, 6-year-old boy and 8-month girl. He told me for 2 weeks leading up to Mother's Day that he had an entire weekend planned for me. This is not normal, but there have been years in the past where I did complain and feel hurt because he didn't really do much of anything for me on Mother's Day, but I always went all out for him on Father's Day, and I just felt unappreciated. So I think that he finally understood where I was coming from and was going to make it special for me this year. I quite literally only asked for a massage, and he repeatedly said that he couldn't just give me a massage because it wasn't enough. So, I don't know. At this point, I'm truly thinking this man went all out. Anyway, Friday rolls around and a bunch of people start showing up. He invited a good 10 to 15 people over. I think I knew 2 people. He called it the Mother's Day bonfire. We had a fire all right, but I was the one who chased the kids around all evening, my 6-year-old while holding the baby, and some other person's 2 kids because they weren't watching them, and quite literally no one spoke to me. Okay, so he threw a party with his friends for himself, called it a Mother's Day barbecue and or Mother's Day bonfire, and you just ended up having to work harder the whole time. Cool. I wasn't acknowledged until the very end of the evening, and that was by my husband's buddy who told me he was stealing my husband to go out 4-wheeling. It's 11 p.m. at this point, and everyone except me was drinking. I said my husband wasn't going anywhere. I even said this to my husband, you're drinking, you're not going anywhere. He took that as, I need to find a DD and then I can go. So he asked the neighbor to drive him around and took off with everyone. I'm extremely hurt at this point because this was my promised weekend, and I got stuck with other people's kids, wasn't spoken to at all, had a mess to clean up, and now my husband is taking off. I explained how hurt I am the next morning. He says he gets it and apologizes and says he just had too much to drink and wasn't thinking clearly. Okay, I get it. It's whatever. We didn't do anything Saturday because he spent half the day sleeping off a hangover. Well, yesterday rolled around and his boss called him at 6 a.m. and asked him to come to work because they were short-staffed, and he said yes. So I expressed hurt and said, but it's Mother's Day. And he says, I know, I'm sorry. I just don't want to pass up the opportunity for more hours. I get that too, so whatever. He gets home at 5 p.m. and starts getting the kids dressed and ushered toward the door. So I'm thinking we are finally going to celebrate. We ended up going on a walk. I love walking, but 5 minutes in and he's complaining and has us turn around because of the black flies. They weren't even bad. So again, I'm disappointed. When we get back home, he lays down on the couch and says, your gift is in the truck. So I go down and it's a $5 storage container for sugar and flour. I do like stuff like this, but I'm so hurt at this point. I asked him if I could at least get a massage, and he said, I'm sorry, babe. I'm just so tired. And fell asleep around 8 p.m. when he usually doesn't even go to bed until midnight or 1 a.m. I just sat there crying. I took the 3 gifts that I already bought for him for Father's Day and chucked them into the trash can. Personalized items that cost me more than I want to admit, but I don't even care anymore. He found them in the garbage this morning and asked me what they were and why they were in the trash covered with food. I told them they were his Father's Day gifts and left it at that. He's now saying that he tried to make my weekend special and that he's hurt by my throwing away his gifts to retaliate against him for it not turning out to be the way he wanted it to. Am I the astronaut for throwing his gifts out and being upset? Nope. 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 Hell no, you are not the asshole for this, OP. Wow. He cannot blame the formation of the Mother's Day bonfire with all of his buddies on drinking too much, because that was done, that was premeditated. And so he knew what was going to happen at the end of the night. That's why he invited his buddies over. They were going to go 4-wheeling. This was premeditated. You can't blame premeditated things on drinking too much. The drinking didn't happen till later, sir. No. He actively gives no shits. And only, this only became an issue for him whenever he found his stuff in the trash. Suddenly he cares. Sorry it didn't go off the way I wanted it to. Well, no, it went exactly how you wanted it to. You didn't have to do jack shit except for have a party with your buddies. Cool. It's kind of like we had Father's Day weekend on Mother's Day, is what it feels like, isn't it? So you know what we should do for Father's Day? You'll get a chance, sir. You'll get a chance to make up for this botched job of a Mother's Day weekend. You get a chance. You get a chance to turn this around. You quite literally did what you wanted to do this weekend. So on Father's Day weekend, it's all on you to make it Mother's Day weekend. There's the fix. You care, prove it. Because you've only proven the exact opposite to this point. What you've proven, your actions have said, I give 0 shits. In fact, I give negative shits because I'm going to do stuff for me. You got 2 options, fix it or don't. I think you know what lies on the don't path. So what you going to do? It's up to him, right? It's up to him. But I do think OP, because we have one of these to deal with, I think you got to spell it out pretty clearly and explain to him that from the outside here, or pretty much to everybody else in the entire world, it looks like he threw a Father's Day weekend on Mother's Day. And let him know what it's going to take to fix it. You can. I mean, a lot of times in this instance, I'll be like, look, the work of figuring out what it's going to take to fix it is on him. It needs to be on him because that's part of the problem. He needs to learn to think for himself and it not be, thoughts of buffoonery, but actually be something along the right path here. So you give him as much help as you want to in the nudge to a solution here, but he has to make up for this. Otherwise, he is just cementing the fact that he gives 0 shits about you. I'm sure he appreciates the convenience of not having all the problems that would exist were you not there. I'm sure he appreciates that convenience, but appreciating you as a person, we're a long way from that. And you, at this point, OP, have to create some boundaries and have to reinforce them and say, no, screw that. Your shit's staying in the trash because that's how you made me feel. Like trash. I suggest you fix it. That stuff is not coming out of the trash. Damage is done on that. She knows it's not going to happen unless she spells it out, right? He knows he's screwed up right now, and that's step 1. And I would say it's going to be, this is a teach him to fish kind of moment, right? Letting him figure out how to fix it himself is the ideal situation. You might have to offer some help if you want it to resemble anything like what you actually want. As long as he is taking that information and actually using it and learning from it, that's something. But this goes back to the story we read earlier, right? It's if you have been told this once, you can never make this mistake again because you will not have an excuse. And he doesn't this time. They have kids. They've been together for a while. They have a 6-year-old and an 8-month-old. He's had a long time to figure out what this means to her and what not to do. Plenty of time. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with a spicy Reddit story for you. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Ruining My Wife's Birthday by Disinviting Her from a Theatrical Performance She Was Looking Forward to because she chose a weekend road trip over staying for a crucial household responsibility? It's complicated. Just based on the length of the title, this seems a little complicated. My 30 male, wife, 31 female have been together for 5 years in total. She works from home and I work from the office. I was sent by my team across the state lines for a week and was set to return on Tuesday. Now, this weekend was extremely crucial for one of us to be there as the landlord was sending over professionals to get the vents cleaned out. Currently, the temperatures are fine and we don't need AC, but soon we will. Also, the next time the professionals will be available through the landlord will be several weeks from now, and by that time, summer will have already rolled in. I had requested my wife to stay put on the weekend I was going away because the landlord was doing it free of charge, and if we were to have professionals ourselves, we would have to pay a couple $100. It's important for us to get the vents cleaned since we turn on the AC. One day there was a terrible smell, maybe a rat died in the thing, and we quickly closed them up and have since been opening the windows. I was out of state assuming the vents were cleaned out. When I returned, my wife said that she was invited on a road trip by her girlfriends and she couldn't say no as she hadn't seen them in a long time. I was furious for being so irresponsible. I told her fine, the extra cost for getting the cleaners now will be deducted from her fund money account. We have 3 bank accounts, or 2 individual accounts for fund money and 1 joint account. She absolutely refused, saying that I get to go out and have fun and beers while she works from home and deserves an outing and didn't think of saying no. Edit. We both had agreed she would supervise things and she never let me know that she went out with her friends. I never gave her orders. Okay, so this was a mutual agreement. And then when she went out with her friends, he only found out after the fact. But this was an important job to fix, and I wanted her to act like my partner for once. This caused an argument, but no resolution, and she kicked me out of our bedroom. This made me more mad than her refusal to pay in full or staying home. I felt emasculated for being kicked out of my own goddamn bedroom, and that too for 3 nights. Her birthday was also coming up in a few days, and I had managed to score some tickets for a musical theater performance in our city. They're fairly exclusive, and she was looking forward to us going, and she's a big fan of what they were going to be performing that night. I disinvited her, and she flew into a mad rage. I told her that this is her consequence for what she did, prioritizing a road trip and kicking me out of our room, and didn't do, staying home for the professionals and agreeing to compensate from her fun money account. I instead extended an invite to my other friend who happily accepted, and we went. Oh, okay. Even on her birthday, she took the time and effort to dress up and presented herself to me and casually said if we are supposed to leave by now. It's almost as if she forgot what happened, still thinking I wouldn't go through with what I said I'd do. I shrugged my shoulders and said she was delusional for even thinking that. I left the house with her looking paler than ever. It was oddly satisfying. When I came back, she was crying, but still looked like she was seething. She screamed at me for ruining a birthday over a few $100s and said she can never forgive me for what I did. I reminded her she kicked me out of our room. How can she expect me to be nice to her? And that I was glad to know she was miserable all day. Did I go too far? And here to give us some insight on this is the one and only Candy Thunder.
Oh my God, it's Candy Thunder!
For me, it's ESH, but he sucks way harder than she does. Sorry. He's more of an asshole than she is. Let's just...
Wow, he's got more powerful suction.
I said what I said. You're not her dad, dude. You don't get to dish out consequences because she messed up. And she did mess up. She agreed to do something. She didn't do it. She should have just communicated that she wasn't going to be there to the landlord. He could go in without her there. Like, I don't see why that would be an issue. They just needed their vents cleaned out. Which it is gross. If you get an animal that dies in your vents, it's terrible. It's gross.
We've had it happen.
Yeah.
It was a snake.
I don't think what she did was for tit for tat. Like, it feels like what he did was to teach her a lesson and to punish her like she was a child, not an adult. I think she had an opportunity and did it and didn't think twice. And she did mess up because she agreed to be there for this specific thing. Like, that's minor asshole behavior. But him saying that he got some kind of, what was his word?
It was oddly satisfying.
Yeah, that he was satisfied by the fact that he made his partner feel like shit on her birthday. To me, that's divorce. Like, that, I'm not coming back from that. If you're oddly satisfied by making me feel like shit, like, I don't think you can come back from that, because that's...
Well, here's my question. Why did she feel like she couldn't tell him that she was choosing to go out with her friends? That's...
Well, I mean, based on the way that he wrote this, to me says that he didn't give her a choice whether or not she was going to be staying home. He says he didn't, but landlords have like keys. Like if they had to come in and fix something in our office,
you don't have to be.
We
there
don't have
for
to
it,
be here for them to come in and fix something in our office.
As long as you approve it. Yeah, I mean, you could have easily said that.
I mean, she did agree to be there, but
it
something else came up. She should have communicated. Ask on 3.
Move
on from that and fix the problem. But go ahead.
I would agree. Sorry. There are a couple of things that I think signal how their relationship structure is, and that in the beginning he gave her orders, right? Gave her order. Well, he said that he didn't. It was a mutual decision. However, when you presented it to us, good sir, it was very much presented as I told her what to do.
There's a reason you edited your post to tell everyone that you agreed.
Because you were getting ripped apart for it.
Yeah, you made it look like you told her what to do. That's how it was written previously before your edit.
And then reinforced it when shit hit the fan by trying to dole out a consequence/punishment. That does not help your case here. Those two things definitely signal a how your relationship is structured or how you do things. And there is definitely not a team balance approach going on here. It's an everyone sucks here because of a breakdown in communication. I think her not telling you was intentional because you would have flown off the handle if she told you before the fact. If she asked for forgiveness rather than permission, because otherwise she wouldn't have been able to go do this thing with her friends. There probably was another option, whether it was bringing in a friend or a relative or somebody to sit at the house when they were supposed to be there. There were other options there. The imbalance in the way that you approach this is in a very controlling way, and that's what doesn't help your case here. And
I think
the cherry on top of all this shit is being satisfied and happy to see your wife miserable on her birthday.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone is disagreeing that the wife should have communicated that that other plans came up. I think that everyone is in agreement that she should have said something. But I would never, like, if you said you were going to do something and didn't do it, my first instinct would not be to treat you like a child. And your first instinct would not to be, you wouldn't want to see me hurt because I messed up something.
No, but the difference is in a teamwork kind of approach, it would have been both people finding a solution together in the first place from this when there needed to be a modification. Whenever you got invited out on a once in a lifetime girls trip, it would have been, okay, who else can we get to cover this?
Right.
That would have been a conversation between the two of us. And then let's say that fell apart and we still didn't get the service that we needed to get done after the fact. You and I together would find a solution for how to move forward from it. It would not be lopsided at any point in time.
No, if something came up, you would be my first call. Like, I would be like, hey, this is an opportunity. Like, I really want to do this. You just communicate to your partner. And whether or not we don't know the answer if she didn't communicate because she felt like she couldn't, or she didn't communicate because that's who she is. As it stands right now, she's a 3 and he's a 1, in my opinion. That is not a marriage. That does not a marriage make.
Yeah. And kicking him out of the room is just engaging in battle. You know, it certainly didn't make her less of an asshole. But that is when they're trading blows at that point.
Right.
Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another AITA story for you from Reddit. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Not Inviting Girlfriend to a Group Event? Lately, my girlfriend hasn't been going out with me and my friends. She stopped attending events with my friends after feeling unwelcome at a wedding where the bride ignored her. I didn't confirm or deny her suspicions about my friends disliking her, but they indeed prefer my ex. That friend group from the wedding I've known for 20 years. My ex was a part of that friend group as well, and my ex fit right in. My girlfriend is very introverted and serious. She comes across as standoffish, though she's actually quite sweet. I like to joke and say she has RBF. She doesn't smile much and she's very pretty and comes from money, so she's a bit of a snob. Well, that doesn't help. I'll invite her to a barbecue and she'll pop up in her Sunday best. Meanwhile, everyone looks like they rolled out of bed. Our social differences are becoming apparent, but that's not my main concern. Recently, my friends came over. We had planned on going to an amusement park and then a bar. It was 2 couples. I figured she wouldn't want to go, so I didn't bring it up. Boo! Before they left, one of my friends got us all some takeout. I also figured my girlfriend didn't want to do takeout, so I didn't put an order in for her. Boo! My girlfriend again eats very healthy. When I came back from my plans, she was upset saying that I didn't consider her feelings, but I did. I asked her to go with me plenty of times, and she's declined if my friends were coming. She said she was mad she had to cook lunch while we all had takeout, and then she also was the one who had to clean up after they left their takeout containers on the table, and apparently one of my friends was a messy eater, and she spent 3 hours trying to figure out how to get stains out on the rug. I would have cleaned it up once I got home, by the way. I didn't expect her to clean up after my guests. She said she was going to be home all day, so did I expect her to just sit in a dirty house? And that I probably wouldn't have cleaned it until after the day because I'd be getting home late. She essentially said she felt like the help and said it would be different if I met up with them, but I invited them over. Nobody talked to her. Nobody asked her anything, yet they left trash for her. And then when they all came back, nobody even remembered how they left the house and that she had to clean it. In my opinion, I feel like she's complaining about something insignificant, but what do you guys think? Was I wrong for not inviting my girlfriend when she has said no every other time? Also, I don't know what she expects me to do with my friends if she doesn't want to be around them and they really don't like her. Am I the astronaut? This is not an easy situation, but there is an easy solution. So, you essentially took action without talking to her first. And that's where this got hairy. I would say you are under an obligation to either continue asking her every time or get to a point where she has created enough of a precedent, like you say she has now, where you could assume that she doesn't want to go, but you still have to ask. Not every time, but it would need to be something like this. Hey, friends are looking at doing something sometime the next few days. I'm assuming right now, because you have said no the past 20 times that we've gone and done something, that you do not want to go to any events moving forward with my friends. Are you okay with my assuming that you don't want to go? And then if you do, you can let me know and we'll change things up. You just made the decision to take that precedent and start applying that to everything without giving her the choice. It's because her choice was taken away. Yeah, she probably would have said no. Yeah, she probably wouldn't have eaten the takeout, but because her choice was taken away, she felt excluded because she was excluded. Does that make sense? If you're going to start making decisions for her, at least get her permission to start making decisions for her, right? I feel like that's the right move here. I feel like that. Yes, she has been excluded, and yes, she's done that to herself to an extent, but he's still under an obligation to ask or to get carte blanche. But I feel like that has to be a conversation. I feel like he screwed up. I feel like he did screw up here. And when we got to the end here and you say, in my opinion, I feel like she's complaining about something insignificant. I hope we're the only people you're saying that to. I hope you didn't come out and be like, I feel like this is insignificant. Or say that this is a silly thing to get upset about, because we know those are, that's how you end up chewing on sock. Julie, also, who lives a complete mess and after not including the significant other and then treats her this way. Yeah, it's not great. It's not a great look, OP. I think the more important question for you here is, are you willing to endure a relationship that is completely siloed from your friends? Are you ready? Are you okay with that? Are you ready to live a life like that? Is she? Because right now it's already creating some complications and you have to communicate through them. And again, this was another communication problem. It's always a communication problem, but this was a big communication problem because there was an assumption made without that prior communication. And then leaving the mess didn't help your case at all. Again, a communication thing. If you plan on cleaning up later, say, hey babe, don't touch that, please. I will get to it whenever I get back. Easy peasy. It's not hard to do. But leaning, you just left, so she assumed she's got to clean it up because she didn't want to just walk around it all day. The siren was a paid actor at me. Yeah, it shows up often. Settle down, police car. Sounds like he didn't think about her at all. But I understand where he said he did. He did think about her. He did consider her feelings. He did think about how she would react. He did think about how she would probably say no. He just did it for her. You start taking choices away from people and they feel boxed in, right? She felt powerless because she was powerless because you took her choices away. You think he's still on his ex? The friends were. The friends still are. The friends are definitely still on the ex. He did think about it. He just didn't. That's tough. He thought about it. He just used those limited thoughts and made an assumption with him. Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.